Discussion. All those in favour say aye. Against, that's carried. Mike, sorry. So you're voting against? Yep, all right. So that's, and Sarah against, and Celeste against as well. All right, thank you. And Yanni against. All right, so that's carried. Thank you. So now we move to the Te Kaha elected member update.
So there are two things I want to highlight. In the update, we noted, and we've noted for some time, that the final bid was due to us on the 12th of May. That has, we have been given notice that has been delayed by 2 weeks. The reason for the delay is because what's unfolding in the market. Everything from the responses they're getting into the market having very short expiry dates with those responses, which don't fit with our time frame that we require to go through the approval process with council. So that leads to B6 Swapback going back to the market. And also there have been some delayed or requests for extensions of time from those subcontractors and other people in the market as they are grappling with the uncertain environment that we are dealing with. So B6 Swapback are doing their best to manage that, but they have highlighted to us that if they are to keep to the original timeline, then we would get a final bid with a lot of tags. And we don't want to receive a final bid with a lot of tags and conditions. We would rather receive a final bid which is as clean as possible. So at this stage, we have accepted that time delay, but we still believe, even with that time delay, that we can still present that information and be able to have a recommendation by the end of June to council. So that's causing us to relook at all our plans, and we haven't actually finalised the dates for the briefings on the developed design. The developed design briefing's been delayed because we're doing this work on sustainability. I think that's appropriate. But also the investment case and the final bid and the D&C contract require that final bid from B6 Swapback in order to input into both the investment case and the D&C contract and final bid. So highly likely that both of those briefings are going to be in June, and it may end up that we combine those briefings on the investment case and the final bid and D&C contract into one briefing. So we're going to have at least a minimum of 2 briefings with you, maybe 3. And the reason why we're being delayed is because of some of the things that are occurring in the market at the moment. And as I said before, we would prefer to have a clean bid and to have got through those discussions around the key terms of the D&C contract and come to you once, rather than come to you with some numbers, but with a lot of tags. So I just want to highlight that. There's not much we can do about it. Well, there's nothing we can do about it. And so that has occurred post the presentation of this report. Other than that, I'm happy to take questions.
All right, and just noting that we've got David Kennedy, the Chief Executive, on Zoom as well. Thank you. So moving to questions.
Thanks very much. The last time you guys were in, you were saying that we asked us for permission, or you were doing it, to order some steel to get it underway. Did that happen, or is it because the lead-in time was very long, and you wanted to secure that sort of stuff early? Did that?
So the final numbers on those packages are coming in right now. Yeah. Again, they have been late. Yeah. So we haven't made any of those major, other than the ground improvement works. Yeah. We haven't made.
Or did I misunderstand? Did we were going to order steel early?
Yes.
Yes. But we haven't yet.
We haven't yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, that's one of the main packages that has been delayed. Is the steel. So they want to get the steelwork prices in, mainly for the bowl and then once they've got that, then we'll do the ordering of the early steel.
Okay, that's fine. And you've got bulk earthworks and things like that. The tenders are in for that, and you're evaluating those at the moment.
Yep.
Okay, that's great. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Jimmy?
This the delivery program, the master schedule, whether you already consider those kind of COVID impact, supply chain, etc. or not yet?
Yeah, but it's fair to say the program timetable's moving all over the place at the moment. It's a very detailed program,
Yes.
and even over the period of the last couple of months, it's moved back and it's moved forward, and it's starting to move back again. We really have to wait until they get more of these packages in,
Yes.
before we can finalise the program.
Okay. But based on the delivery program, you already almost the design work has been done, in a way.
Yeah.
So you are undertake those early works.
Yeah, for sure. We will start the early works as soon as we can.
Yes.
And some of the ground improvement work contractors have been affected by COVID, so they've been delayed on some of the other work. So there's been a slight delay in the start of our work here.
Yeah.
But the key for us really at the moment is to get those steel packages in,
Okay.
and assess both the cost and the timing of delivery and how that impacts on the overall program.
Okay. Thank you.
Just on the detailed
Yes.
design is underway for the ground improvement. So we've actually let the ground improvement subcontract, and they're underway with the detailed design and consenting for that. So that's a major subcontract underway.
Thank you. Back to Phil.
Yeah, sorry, Gary. When we do the steel or whatever,
Yep.
are we allowed to use all the government's money first, or we have to sort of put some of ours in and some of theirs in?
That's the intention too.
No, we use all their
their
money
money
first.
So it's all sitting there
Yep.
with smoke coming out of your pocket.
We've got to apply for the funding every 3 months.
Yes, but
You
we're allowed
teach
to
it.
use that.
Yep, we
Thank
use
you.
their 220 million first. Yep.
Yep.
Great, thank you.
Yanni.
Yanni?
When are we? So basically, by the end of June, the budget will have a better handle on the 533. Is that currently the total estimated cost?
So we'll be bringing the budget and the program. Our current thinking is probably around mid-June. In terms of a full briefing, and we'll need to take you through quite a comprehensive risk assessment, because it's not just the final bid we'll be having a discussion on. We'll be having quite an in-depth discussion on all the contingencies and how the risks apply to those contingencies. So our plan at this stage is to have quite a comprehensive briefing with the council around mid-June, with the final decision coming to council for resolution at the end of June.
Right. And just wondering what's happening with the land and the building that we've acquired on Barbados Hereford Street. Are there currently plans for that? Is it being used? Just sitting empty? Or?
Sorry, I don't know.
No, well, that is one of the options that they're looking at to council for the storage of the NG materials is on that site. But there's no plans at the moment for anything on the arena with that site.
Right. Okay. Yeah, but that site's going to be incorporated into the design. Is that
No, it's not in the actual CMUA or the. Sorry, I have to stop calling it that. Te Kaha site. Yeah.
right? So what are we using that for? What's the process to work out what we use that site for?
That'll be for the property unit to actually look after that. It's not actually under the control of the Te Kaha project.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Thanks.
All right, thank you. Are there any further questions? Celeste?
Apologies, I know you've already answered this question, but I just want to clarify. When you say the NG building, that it was the owner's preference, one of the media stories that I've read is that it was partly due to the timeline of the project. So was it a decision from the project team end? So was the building owner's decision informed by the project team's timeline? Did they have the freedom to
Yeah,
sort of...
so to be absolutely clear,
Yeah.
so the NG building owner had an agreement with Lynn's to relocate their building by a certain time. And so they approached us and said, look, we're under pressure to be able to achieve that timeline. Here are a couple of alternatives. And we said, well, all those alternatives are available to you, but here are the risks and the cost implications if you're not able to achieve those things you want to do within that time frame. So they made the decision. I mean, they could have carried on and delivered their project within that that pathway that they agreed with Lynn's and within the time frame. But for a number of reasons, and only they can determine what those reasons are, but I can imagine being all the things that we're facing with supply chain, COVID, et cetera, they made the decision that it was easier for them to not relocate and to do a recovery demolition response instead. So our role was to provide them with information.
Thank you. Yanni.
Sorry, I mean, the building's still standing, right? Is it still?
So the roof, they've taken the roof off,
Right.
and they're actually in there now and recovering items from within the building.
Right. And would they have needed to do that if they were relocating it anyway?
They would have done some work to stabilise the building.
There would have been a lot of work in strengthening the building. There'd have been a lot of structural steel. So yes, they would have had to remove a lot of the internal lining so they could put the structure in to support it.
I mean, I'm just mindful, like at a governance level, whether there's anything that we can do, like meeting with the NG building owners, meeting with some staff from Lynn's and from Te Kaha, and just get a really clear sense of. It just feels a bit odd having this conversation with the kind of one of the parties or two of the parties not in the room.
Actually, we have met with them,
Okay.
and everything we're telling you is on the basis of meetings we've had with Lynn's. Our chief executive and one of our directors have met with the NG building owners, one of our directors on a couple of occasions. So there have been discussions going on between ourselves and Lynn's and the NG building owner.
Right, yeah, no, I get you guys have done that, but we haven't as a council at our governance level, but that's okay. I just really want to see if there's any option to save it. It sounds like the timeframes, we just heard that there's delays around getting some of the things back for the stadium, but that's cool. I don't know how others feel.
I would endorse that. I would like a bit more information. So
All right, so we're receiving an update from Te Kaha. If there's something that we want to do as a council outside of that update or as a result of what we've heard in that update, that would require to ask our own staff to do something, to consider and report back, or to provide a briefing, or to Leah, what would be the appropriate thing?
Well, we can do that. I just want to clarify though, Jan, you mentioned that there's a delay. The delay is only 2 weeks. And my understanding, they've made the decision, haven't they, in regards to the building? Is there anything more? There's nothing more that can be done, is there? Because
So to be absolutely clear, they've signed a variation with Lynn's to take up the ownership of the land,
yeah,
and build a new building on that land, and to remove what they can from the NG building and demolish it. So they've already made that decision. They've done a variation agreement with Lynn's.
So there was a legal situation which had been created from the original agreement been signed with Lynn's. Now, as a matter of fact, there's been a variation to it, which is leading to a particular outcome, and all of that is done.
Correct.
Yeah.
so I'm just not too sure what roles council has anymore in it. That's the point in regards to I'm not too sure what you want us to do a report on or come back on, because it's not really our role.
When you look at the environment that we're in, it sounds as though, things have moved on to a point where there's now no going back. and therefore there's very little influence that we could have, even though we might like to think that we could. Would that be let me phrase that as a
Yep,
question.
they had an
Would that
agreement
be
in place,
correct
they did a
interpretation of
variation
the
to the
situation?
agreement, and now they are acting on that variation. And that agreement was between Lynn's and the NG building owner, and we're required, we've offered support, and so we are supporting the current agreement they have in place. We're storing material and whatever other support we can help the NG building owner with to achieve their agreement.
And then there have been other flow-on decisions on that from that made by the building owner, including contracting a contractor to remove the roof of the building and start removing materials
Yes.
from it. All of
Correct.
that seems pretty irreversible.
Yeah.
So, I mean, unless anybody wants to raise something differently, that for me is where it lands. And it sounds as though the advice that we're getting from Te Kaha and the questions which have been asked by our own staff that we're asking to do something, but we're not quite clear what, is leading us in the direction of there isn't a lot that we can do. Okay. Are there any further questions? No further questions. So we need a mover just to receive the information in the update. I'm happy to move that. Phil's happy to second. Is there any discussion? All those in favour say aye. Against, that's carried. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
Thank you. So now let's move to the item 17, Local Government Funding Agency Draft Statement of Intent and Shareholder Presentation. Now,